Hello guys, this is me Simo Orahara, and in this video I will talk about one of the distinguished captains in Bleach, which is Kyorako Shinsui. However, we will talk about Kyorako in a new way. We will focus on his personal side. So, Kyorako's Bankai was a series of dark and tragic theater chapters, and so Kyorako's life path is not much different from what was stated in his Bankai play. There is no doubt that Kyorako's Bankai was immensely inspired from his life and showcased it on these chapters and techniques. You remember the moment Kyorako's Bankai was released, even those who were far away from him could sense the darkness of that Reiatsu emanating from the Bankai and the gloom that surrounded his radius. It feels as though when calling the Bankai, Kyorako opened another side of his private life that was not shown to us before. Because we all have this view that Kyorako is a playful person and a womanizer person who loves sake, but when you look at his past, you find that it's a sad play. He is its hero in addition to 6 other characters, and its title is losing loved ones and assuming their responsibility. And now guys, let's watch together the play of Kyorako. First of all, we all know that Kyorako belongs to one of the noble families, but is not from one of the 5 great noble families, meaning the series has 5 great families on its head, and below them come several other noble families. Among them there is Omaida family as well as Kyorako families. What is noticeable here is that Kyorako seems to be the only character who has a special relationship with Yamaji since he was a child, more than any other character in the manga, of course besides Sasakibe. But Kyorako's relationship with Yamaji feels like a father and son, and not even a student or servant relationship. Especially in this scene, not anyone has the nerve to enter the old man's room. But the important thing is that Kyorako from a young age has strengthened his relationship with Yamaji, and Yamaji became a major character in the chapters of his life play. At the same period, during his childhood, Kyorako's relationship with his older brother wasn't good, but as I said in a previous video, and all of that changed when his brother married a woman. This woman wasn't an ordinary woman, she belonged to the Issei family. So this family had a special place within the series because it owns one of the treasures of the series, and we will talk about this point shortly. Anyway, as Kyorako mentioned, this family has been known since ancient times that its members consisted only of women, so they were forced to search for husbands outside the family house. However, strangely enough, all the men who married Issei women were dying after a short time, so rumors started circling that Issei family bears the curse of the Issei that causes the death of every man who marries and lives in their home. So in order for her future daughter not to bear that curse, Nanao's mother thought that if she married a man outside Issei house and lived with him in his house far away from her family, she might get rid of that curse. So Kyorako's older brother married her and she lived with him in his house. As we said, Kyorako didn't have a good relationship with his older brother, but as Kyorako talks about this matter, he said that everything changed when Nanao's mother came to the house. His relationship with his brother improved to the best. He also attached to his brother's wife for the way she introduced an atmosphere of happiness to her husband first and to Kyorako second. And in fact, even in reality, the kind of female characters represented by Nanao's mother always has a positive impact on their surroundings wherever they go, because of the features of calm that are drawn on her face, her words, and her behavior that moisturize the atmosphere of the house and even the hearts of those with her. So, Nanao's mother loved Kyorako's brother, and he also fell in love with her. And because of his love for her, his relationship with Kyorako, his younger brother, became better than before. And this last one, Kyorako, loved them together. So, Nanao's mother's love for Kyorako's brother was portrayed by Kobo in this beautiful scene as she presented him with one of the pins that she puts on her hair, saying that when he puts it on, she will feel his strength while facing hollows. The important thing is that these 2 characters have become the 2 additional main characters in the chapters of Kyorako's play. But the days of Kyorako's happiness will not last long. That happiness was only an introductory chapter to the upcoming chapters of sadness, which began with the death of his brother. So, Nanao's mother thought that by moving away from her home, she might get rid of that curse, but it seems that this has not happened. Her husband suddenly fell bedridden and died, and in one of the scenes of that flashback, Kobo showed a scene of Kyoraku and his brother dying in front of him, and then he provided him with that pin that his wife gave him. And I don't know the exact symbolism of his gift, but I think it was as if he says, I entrust you now with this souvenir in order to protect my wife in my absence. And so Kyoraku's brother was the first dear person that he had lost. And at the same time, he entrusted him with a responsibility. And it is only the beginning, Kyoraku. According to Kyoraku, it is one of the traditions of noble families that when one of their children dies, his wife returns to her family home and the relationship between the wife and the in-laws is cut off forever. So Nanao's mother returned to her home, and there is no doubt that she was very sad about the death of her husband, because it's not just an accidental death, but she now is starting to think that she is the reason behind this, being from the Ise family. Even worse, Nanao's mother was afraid to pass this curse to their daughter, little Nanao. So she thought about another solution again. And as I said earlier, the Ise family owned one of the treasures of the Siriti, which is the family Zanpakuto, where all the family members do not own a Zanpakuto, but only one Zanpakuto that they only use in their religious ritual. This Zanpakuto is with the head of the family and is passed down to the next head of the family and so on. And according to the flashback, Nanao's mother thought that the cause of this curse that surrounded her and that might surround her daughter was that Zanpakuto. So she thought about keeping it away from her and the family as whole, and she apparently stole it, because I don't think she was the head of the family at that time, and you will know why I said this shortly. Anyway, as we said, Kyoraku seems to have been carrying out his brother's will and inspecting the conditions of his brother's wife. Therefore, Nanao's mother pledged to him to hide the Zanpakuto with him and told him that no harm would happen to him because of that Zanpakuto, since it only affects the Ise family members. As you can see, Nanao's mother was wearing that haori that he is wearing now because it belongs to her. But Kyoraku's acceptance of such a request was not an easy thing for him, not because he is afraid for himself in the first degree, but for Nanao's mother, because he knows that the Zanpakuto is one of the treasures of the Siriti, and its disappearance may endanger her life. And that's exactly what happened. It is through this scene, Okitake's words, that indicates that the Room 46 has noticed the disappearance of the Zanpakuto, which is considered one of the treasures of the Siriti. And so they investigated the matter, and after investigation, it was found that Nanao's mother had stolen the Zanpakuto. For that reason, they carried out the death sentence. And here you can notice the shock on Kyoraku, and how he tried to reduce its impact on him, but the shock was too much for Kyoraku. There is no doubt that he felt responsible for what happened to Nanao's mother. Perhaps he said, had I not accepted her request, Nanao's mother would not have died, my brother's wife would not have died, and now something else has been added that Kyoraku had to pledge. There is the Zanpakuto of the Ise family. He has to keep it away from Nanao, and also Nanao herself, his niece. When her mother died, it appeared in the flashback that Nanao moved to live with the two elderly people who were friends of the family. However, in reality, Kyoraku was taking care of her from afar. When Nanao entered the academy, she was not able to own a Zanpakuto, but her skills were good in Kido, so she thought she would join the Kido Corps, but she was surprised that to be assigned in the 8th division, which is Kyoraku's, and there is no doubt that he was the one who made sure she was assigned to his division to protect her. Nanao knew that he was the person that her mother had entrusted something valuable to him through her mother haori that he was wearing, and as well the two pins he used to put on his hair, and they are her parents. Therefore, we can consider that the end of this chapter was Kyoraku losing two dear people on his heart, namely his older brother and his sister-in-law, both of whom entrusted him with something. So as we concluded in the previous chapter, Kyoraku became a captain and had two main missions that perhaps no one else knew of, or only those close to him, and they are keeping the Ise Zanpakuto hidden, and that's why his Zanpakuto gave birth to Okyu, which formed Kyoraku little sword, and so she could hide that Zanpakuto. So Kyoraku was in danger of being the only one who had two swords, unlike the rest, as we have seen. Even Okitaki's Zanpakuto is only made from two swords when he is in the Shikai mode. So any future question about how Kyoraku got a second sword would have revealed that hidden truth. And as we said, he also included Nanao's by his side and watched her. However, there is also another thing that happened to Kyoraku. It is also included the loss of another person. It is true that story is not found in the manga or the anime, but rather in the 8th Kenpachi's novel, which is Spirits Are Forever With You. But as I said, because it also bears something from Kyoraku's curse with the people he loves and appreciates. As it mentioned in the novel, the 7th Kenpachi Koryashiki was a close friend of Kyoraku. They used to meet often to drink sake, and their relationship was strong, until the day came when the 8th Kenpachi Asashiro came and wanted to fight the 7th Kenpachi in order to take the Kenpachi title. The battle took place at the headquarters of the 11th Division, and Kyoraku was in the audience. So Koryashiki couldn't use his Bankai in the battle because it is forbidden for him to launch it inside the Seirechi because it destroys everything within its range. But the 7th Kenpachi Koryashiki had a stronger motive for not releasing his Bankai, which is the presence of his best friend Kyoraku. Therefore, he preferred to fight with only his Shikai, and Asashiro took advantage of this opportunity and used one of his Bankai abilities and killed the 7th Kenpachi Koryashiki. So Kyoraku added another dear person to him to the list of the dead at that point. What I can say about the Kyoraku period as a captain, especially after the Wizard accident, is that his relationship with some of the characters was getting stronger and stronger, especially after Nanao became his vice captain. And here we are with the final chapter of Kyoraku. This is possibly the saddest chapter in his life path. Kyoraku will lose other loved ones again, but this time it's different. He will lose his loved ones in the midst of a great war. He will lose his loved ones and will not even find the opportunity to mourn them, because he must assume and renew the major responsibilities that were entrusted to him. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, Kyoraku had a special relationship with Yamamoto since he was a child, but fate decided that Yamamoto would be killed at the hand of Yhwach, announcing the loss of the Shinigami against the Quincy. It cost them the loss of one of the strongest Shinigamis the story knew, the Captain Commander Yamamoto. No doubt that everyone was shocked and saddened at the loss of a leading character like Yamamoto. But it is certain that the impact of that incident was significant on Kyoraku and Okitaki in particular, from what we mentioned previously from the links that bind them all. But instead of succumbing to his grief, Kyoraku automatically took over the leadership and tried to mitigate the impact of that incident on the rest of the captains, because they were in the middle of a war, and the war does not acknowledge a grief timeout, and that is what Kyoraku did. So now Kyoraku is bearing new responsibility other than protecting Nanao and hiding the Holy Zanpakuto of the Ise family. Now he has to lead and protect the Soul Society as a whole by leading the Guti 13. So Kyoraku leadership of the Guti 13 underwent several fundamental changes, among which was his sacrifice of Unohana for the sake of Zaraki's training, as well as preparing a plan B in the events of the Soul King being killed by making Ichigo the new Soul King. However, those decisions were not enough, but rather made a character from Kyoraku's play to sacrifice his life for the whole world, and that's his best friend Okitaki. And the last conversation that took place between them was in this scene. Undoubtedly, Kyoraku knew the truth about Okitaki, so he may have known that this might be their last conversation. Oh my god. No wonder Kyoraku's Bankai is full of sadness and sorrow. So when Kyoraku launched the Bankai in front of Lily, it was shown how dark the Bankai is. It was through that battle that we learned about Kyoraku's past related to his relationship with Nanao and her Holy Zanpakuto. Perhaps returning the Holy Zanpakuto to Nanao was the only outlet for Kyoraku. With it, he revealed a heavy secret that he had carried for decades. And also with it, Lilibaro was defeated, and after the last battle against Yhwach, the war had ended with the victory of the Shinigami, but after several sacrifices. Perhaps this scene from chapter before the last clarifies what we mentioned earlier, Kyoraku sitting beside Okitake's grave. Imagine what life would be like if Nanao hadn't stayed with Kyoraku. No doubt it will be very difficult. Losing all these characters around you is not an easy thing. The last lines of Kyoraku's play, although most of its chapters and scenes are full of sadness until its ending, Kyoraku lost a lot but was able to protect his niece as well as keep the Gucci 13 combined. So this is the end of my video guys about Kyoraku. I hope you like it and sorry for the accent, and see you in my next video that will be about Okitake.